Hey y'all, I'm Kasey.
And I'm MG, and this is Soul Tide.
We are two platonic soulmates sharing our thoughts and feelings on friendship, social issues, and healing in today's America.
With a focus on queer existence in the evangelical South and answering the philosophical questions that come with it.
Hey y'all, welcome to the pod.
What's up, everybody?
How you doing?
Oh, thriving, living my best life, man. How about you?
My back is fucked up.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, cares?
It's not like too bad, but it's bad compared to the past like 2 days. I've been really active with my crafting the past 2 days. So that's been nice. Reupholstered my seats and all that. So it's kind of like achy today, and I haven't done a lot. I've tried to pick up a little bit here and there because the table was a mess with my projects I had going on, and took my neighbor to drop off her car and then pick it up again today and run a few errands and whatnot.
Yeah, you're like, I haven't really done much except have a full day of normal activity.
Yeah, not it's not as much as I would like to do to be counted as productive, I guess. So there was another plane crash today.
I was turning Lori's computer on because I use it as a backlight and to like prop my phone up, and that's the first thing I saw, and like I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
In Canada, Delta flights.
Yeah.
It flipped over.
That's crazy.
Yeah. There's no deaths. There are some injuries, but like what the fuck? What the fuck? MG, have the answers. Give us the answers.
Yeah, I mean, we know my dark conspiracy theories about it. And
Yeah.
so I don't want to keep seeing it happen though. That's so crazy.
No, yeah. So far I personally know 3 people that have flown since all of this has been happening, and they've all been okay. My in-laws have gone to Colorado. There was a blizzard, so they had to like reroute, and then they were low on fuel. They had to land in Utah for a little bit and wait it out. She was like texting us from inside of the plane while they were flying, and I was like, "Are you supposed to be doing that?"
Yeah.
She's like, "I don't know why the plane's not working."
It's her Wi-Fi like jamming.
Yeah, it's literally interfering. But I wanted to be like, well, at least your plane's not on fire, so.
Yeah, or upside down.
But I didn't say that. I was like trying not to stress her out anymore. But yeah, it's scary. Grant and I are supposed to be taking a trip later this year.
Right.
And it's gonna be a long flight, the longest flight I've ever been on. But I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that.
Ugh, listen.
Crazy. This is crazy.
I mean, listen, by then we may not be able to leave the country, so that's okay.
True. True. They're like, you already paid for your ticket and everything else. Sorry, we're not gonna refund you.
Yeah, sorry,
I'm like, I'm stuck here. At the very least, give me my money back.
They're like, so we saw your social media posts, and I don't think we can let you out of the country.
I'm put on the no-fly list.
Yeah, literally.
They let me leave, and then they put me on the no-fly list once I leave.
I mean, listen, at least you'd be somewhere nicer.
Well, yeah, but I won't have my son with me or my dogs.
Oh, right. Wow, just forget about me, I guess. Fuck me. Who cares?
You are a very capable human being.
But I still wouldn't be with you. You know what?
It's completely different than the Monty and the dogs, okay?
I'm like, we're ending this podcast right now.
No, you're taking it. What? The dogs have no way to get to me. That's what I'm saying.
I know. Well, I'll be in a camp. It won't matter.
Oh my God.
It'll be fine. But yeah, it's been also just a stressful week of trans news. So that's always fun too. I'm just like,
is that what you had mentioned earlier?
No,
Oh, okay.
that was just like a fun little thing that I could get into. Or it's not. Okay. It's fun. I mean, it's queer discourse, but it's lighter. It's on the lighter side rather than like a dark topic or something.
Well, I had 2 topics that don't have to be we don't have to spend too much time on them. One of those topics being, I was listening to a podcast not too long ago, and it was about adoption. And so I got curious, and I was looking at some adoption agencies, and one of them I clicked on. Maybe the name of it could have given it away if I paid attention, and I couldn't find it again right before we started the podcast because I did look. But one of the adoption agencies, in the description of like qualifications, was you have to attend church weekly. And I was like, what the fuck?
They always get you. I don't know how.
I'm like, okay, so not only do you want me to join a cult, but you want me to join the cult that you're forcing a child to be in because they're a child. So they're, quote, property of the state. And they have no choice in the matter. And so we're all just in a cult. That's what you want.
Yeah.
Honestly, I should find them and write them an email.
Oh, I'm sure they would really like that.
Yeah. And then I'll sign it Hell Satan at the end.
Ave Satanus. Adoption is like super fucked up in specifically in this country, with all the like religious ties with it in general, but then it's also just kind of like a fucked up concept as well, which I wish it didn't have to happen. But yeah, those Christian websites.
I should send them an email and then send them links to articles of all the pastors that have molested children. Yeah,
the pastor's receiving those emails and he just deletes it. He's like, ooh.
Oh my God. So that was the first thing. I just thought that was like crazy and fucked up. So the second thing is a little more intense, but we don't have to spend like a lot of time on it because it kind of goes into my healing journey. A few weeks ago, we talked about my healing journey of like healing my toxic masculinity, right? So it goes on of like healing in what I need to heal for myself. And I was like, okay, this is gonna have to be, I'm gonna have to heal one thing at a time. Obviously, I can't just be like, I'm gonna heal it all. Hallelujah, it's over with. You know, I can't do that. I was like, no, there's things that I have to heal one at a time because they're all different degrees of pain and trauma. And I feel like for the most part, I have healed, and that doesn't mean I've like learned or like grown from it, but I've healed, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
I feel like an open wound, but maybe you haven't like dealt with it.
Having the realization, like the toxic masculinity, like me realizing like, oh, I'm realizing that this needs to happen. So like that in itself was healing, that I realized that. And now I have to like work actively on correcting it, but like I'm not hurt because of it.
Interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense.
Okay, so it's like the same for the other things. There was my biological father, right? That's a whole trauma in itself. But I feel like I have forgiven him in a whole. You know, I think what he did is fucked up. But I think that he's human, and so I don't hold any hostility towards him. I just don't want him in my life. That's an example. But the main thing of what my point is that the healing that I know that needs to happen, and that I need to really start working on like trying to come to a solution. That doesn't mean it'll be fixed or anything, but just come to a solution of like working towards healing, is the loss of my Nana. And I didn't like realize how open the wound is that you said, you know, like obviously it's a touchy subject, but I cry every time I go to her grave. Every time I step out, I'm like weeping.
Well,
but it really sucks because I'm like, and I'm fine that she's passed. I'm fine that she doesn't have to suffer because she had dementia for several years before she passed. So I'm glad she doesn't have to deal with that. I'm glad we don't have to deal with that selfishly, What I haven't healed from is I don't want to say it's like regret, but I'm just so like I'm aggravated that my ex-husband wasted my time when he knew he didn't want to be with me, and he could have just made that decision to be like, hey, you should just go back to home and be with them, knowing that my Nana was losing her memory, but he chose to keep me there and waste my time. So it's my aggravation towards him for wasting my time, and also me not taking the action to just go, there were so many times where I did think about that. I did think about I could just leave and go back home and be with mom and Nana. I could help with Nana. I could have been there for those years where she was declining, but she was still there, because she didn't start showing signs until after I left.
Right.
And so that was really hard for me to be like, oh, well, if I would have stayed, maybe she would have held on a little bit longer, And so that is something I have to navigate.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying not to hold like hostility towards him, because there's a lot of things fucked up that he did that I feel like I have forgiven and moved on. I'm like, well, that was fucked up. Like but I hope he has grown as a person. But there's just that one thing. So that leads me to say, I think I'm going to go see a medium.
You're like, therapy? No, I'm going to a psychic. Okay. All right.
That's my solution. I'm just like, maybe if she can just come through.
I do have a question. Can I ask you a question about it?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you feel like you have to move past hostility to heal?
I think I don't know. I feel like it's probably a Christian engraved thing. But for me, I do believe for everyone, it's important to not hold on to hostility. I feel like it affects our bodies. I think it can just really damage our bodies when we hold on to stuff like that. So I try not to, and I have a perfect example of a woman who didn't hold on to hostility. My mother.
Oh, yes.
Being with my father, and like obviously she's affected and she is hurt, and I can still see that, today it's more obvious now than it ever has been for some reason, and she has no contact with him like at all for years. And so I think she's just always been a perfect example of not holding on to anger and hostility towards someone who did you wrong. I don't know. I just feel like it's important that we let it go so our bodies aren't like tense and festering. Because for me specifically, if I'm stressed and I hold on to stress, I get stomach ulcers, which happened in Tulsa when I was with my ex. So like that's just an example of like physically how it can affect us.
Interesting. Okay, cool. I don't agree for me personally, but
yeah, I know we've had that conversation before, and I've tried to like understand from your point of view in it, and I think I get it. But yeah, just for me personally,
yeah.
I think it's important because I don't like how it feels in my body.
No, yeah. I mean, we don't have to get into my version of it, but yes, that's going to be a journey for sure for you to go on.
I also feel like I didn't have the connection with my Nana that I could have had, and part of that was taken from me because she got dementia.
Right.
So I wasn't able to even explore that relationship because she was always like a guardian figure, and she was always like fun and goofy, but I didn't get to experience more of like a friendship level because I was a teenager. I was mad. I was like, don't tell me what to do, like so yeah, I didn't get to explore that, and that upsets me. I don't really know what to do about it besides talk to her dead spirit.
Oh, yeah, no, that's such a valid anger because also, like you said, I mean, and you moved, but you moved also right at the precipice of when you would be able to start that like adult friendship with her. So everything like happened right at the same time. That sucks, dude. I'm really sorry.
And then I moved back the year she passed away. And
Right.
it was just crazy because I would go visit her. It was really hard seeing her the way she was, especially after she had her stroke. But I literally was just like, if you could just hold on, because I kind of, I guess, knew maybe that she was going to pass away soon, but we were waiting for Nicole to come into town, and it was like 2 months out. And I was like, that's a long time to hold out. But I was like, if you could just hold out until Nicole can like be here to physically say her goodbyes.
Yeah.
And she did. I mean, she held out. Nicole got there, and literally within 12 hours she passed away after
That's
Nicole got there, which was insane.
yeah.
So
You're like, listen, you got 60 days, bitch. You gotta
yeah,
hold on.
yeah. So she probably wasn't, she wasn't there, but like maybe she was there in spirit because maybe her spirit already left her body. I don't know how that works. Dementia's very fucking weird.
Very weird.
Very fucking weird. Especially after she had her stroke. That's what I mean. I feel like maybe her spirit left her body after that.
Interesting.
I don't know. I don't know how spirits work.
But fuck if I know.
My spirit could be like, bitch, you crazy, bye, and then like have left. I'm just an empty vessel at this point. Okay, so yeah, so that's a fun little topic.
That was so fun. That was so fun. I loved that. I loved every turmoil
You're
and
like,
pain.
please go to therapy.
Yeah, please God, go to therapy, please. But but I've asked you before.
And I have gone.
Right, you tried one therapist for like 2 months.
All I did was talk about myself, and I was like, I do that enough with MG.
But I don't have a license.
I know, but I wasn't like, she wasn't giving me anything. Like, she was giving me things that I already knew. And so I need to like have that person. You said that I need to have a more intense therapist or whatever.
Yeah, or like a somatic therapist. You
That
need
person, yeah.
a bottom up instead of a top down, and which I totally get. I totally get that. That to piggyback off of that, I had a random, and I think you'll probably remember. I'm not going to go into it on the podcast, but I went to Lori and I was like, dementia, and she was like, what? And I was like, do you think that a lot of the weird shit that my grandmother did was because she was already starting to get dementia and we just like hadn't caught on to the signs yet because nothing she ever did made any sense? And Lori was like, oh, I'd never considered it before. And so now I think I'm just going to blame it on that so that I don't have to worry about it. I'm going to be like, she wasn't right. So it's fine, I mean, that doesn't obviously take away the weird shit that happened, but it feels I guess easier than to just assume she was mean. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. Nana would do a lot of weird things too. I don't exactly know what you're talking about, but turn on the gas stove and leave it on.
He's like, actually, I'm gonna take myself out before.
Yeah, yeah. She's like, I'm just gonna take care of this for all of us. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, she did weird things, and thankfully she wasn't a mean dementia patient. She had her like season of being mean and confused, and that was like before it got really bad. Dementia's just super, super weird.
It is super weird. And it felt like for my grandmother, I'm talking about on my dad's side, that it was like a year of like all of a sudden, and so looking back, I think it almost makes more sense that we like missed those things that were like fucked up or weird or just like didn't make any sense, because that makes more sense than all of a sudden it like hitting, you know what I mean? Which, I mean, that it can come on quickly like that, but especially with how old she was, I think we just missed a lot of stuff, and that's another, we're all like, whoa, what, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you normally get that diagnosis too, whenever you start realizing like, oh, something definitely is going on here, and then you get diagnosed with it, it's already so late within the diagnosis. There's like, it does seem like it's all of a sudden. So.
Yeah. It's very, it's a weird thing, but I'm pretty sure my dad got the genetic testing and he doesn't have the marker for it. So.
Well, I'm already fucked, so I don't know where I'm going to be in another like 15 years. I can't remember 3 days ago.
We were like kids, so we didn't know that we needed to be telling our parents that this weird shit was happening, like when we would go to her house, because we were like, this is normal, probably. This is a normal thing to do.
One of the things that Nana would do is she would just start talking randomly.
Just sitting there?
We'd be sitting there and she'd just be going off about the most random stuff. I have a video of it, and I feel bad looking back at the video. Like, I think I've cried because I've been like, Nana, stop talking.
You're like, shut up, you're being weird.
Yeah, literally, because I would just be like, what are you saying right now? Like, what is happening? And me not realizing like her dementia is talking. And I would just be like, Nana, stop. And yeah, I mean, she would definitely just go off on random little tangents. And I'm like, okay.
Sure, girl, whatever you say. Well, didn't that take a fun turn down the lane? And we both have trauma that you're going to go to a psychic for, and I'm going to go to therapy for. And we'll see who gets better first.
Probably me.
Okay. Fuck off. All right.
We have your topic that you want to talk about. Do you want to hop back on?
If you want to, I mean, we can end it here. I don't care. Whatever
okay.
You want.
I'll have to let it download. We can sign off, but I'll let it download and I'll check back in with you once it's done downloading. So thank you all for listening, and thanks for coming on this journey with us that we didn't know where it was going, but it came and it's here, and now we're all traumatized. All right, everyone, have a great rest of your week. We'll talk to you later. Bye.